Everyone talks about Egypt's pyramids and the Maya's cities, built with tens of thousands of workers and written mathematics. But here's the problem. The Olmec did something just as advanced, without any of that. Around 1200 BCE, while Egypt was finishing its last great pyramids and the Maya hadn't even risen yet, the Olmec were carving 50-ton stone heads from volcanic rock. No metal tools, no wheels, no beasts of burden. And somehow, they moved these giants over 60 kilometers through swamps and jungles. For over 150 years, historians said, primitive rulers, simple portraits. Then AI compared them to other civilizations. Using 3D scans accurate to 0.1 millimeters, researchers analyzed the Olmec heads the same way pyramids, Roman statues, and Greek sculptures have been studied. The shock? The faces follow consistent proportional systems, closer to Egyptian royal statuary than to any early American culture. Identical ratios, repeated measurements, precision that shouldn't exist in a society with no written math. So why do Olmec heads share the same facial blueprint? Like Egyptian pharaohs, meant to appear timeless and divine. And how did a civilization older than the Maya rival the engineering logic of Egypt? Before we reveal what the AI decoded and why it's forcing historians to rethink ancient intelligence, hit like, subscribe, and stay with us. What comes next rewrites history. The Olmec civilization. The Olmec civilization emerged along the coastal regions of Veracruz and Tabasco, Mexico, around 1400 to 400 BCE. It is considered the earliest civilization in the Americas, laying the foundation for later societies such as the Maya and the Aztec. The first discovery of the Olmec was recorded in 1862 when archaeologist José Melgar found a giant human head buried underground. Initially, he believed it was an isolated relic, unaware that this finding would open the door to an entirely new civilization. Over more than a century of excavation, researchers have uncovered a total of 17 heads. They range from 1.5 to 3.4 meters in height and weigh between 8 and 50 tons, ranking among the most impressive monolithic sculptures of the ancient world. The main material used to create these statues was basalt, quarried from the Tuxtla volcanic range, hundreds of kilometers away. There is no evidence that the Olmec possessed wheels or draft animals, leaving the question of how they transported multi-ton blocks of stone unresolved. The faces on the heads display distinct features: thick lips, broad noses, narrow eyes, and helmets with low foreheads. Each head is different, seemingly sculpted after a specific individual believed to represent deceased kings or rulers. The most significant discovery sites include San Lorenzo with 10 statues, La Venta with 4, Tres Zapotes with 2, and Rancho La Cobata with 1. These locations were all major political and ceremonial centers of the Olmec during their peak. Beyond the stone heads, the Olmec left behind numerous artifacts: stone altars, jade figurines, ritual masks, and hybrid human-animal models. Particularly, the Jaguar Man figure was regarded as a sacred symbol representing strength and supernatural power. The colossal heads were often placed in ceremonial centers, oriented toward specific astronomical points. Some were deliberately buried or destroyed, suggesting the existence of rituals marking the end of a reign or a shift in belief. Beneath thick layers of soil, traces of foundations reveal that the Olmec once built earthen pyramids, plazas, and drainage systems, evidence of urban organization thousands of years ahead of neighboring civilizations. Olmec sculpture demonstrates extraordinary refinement and control of form. The curves are smoothly executed, proportions balanced, and surfaces polished to a sheen as if worked with metal tools, though no iron or bronze existed in their era. The giant heads held not only religious value, but also political symbolism. Reproducing the rulers' faces on such a massive scale likely served to assert power and divine legitimacy. On many statues, the helmet designs include details resembling straps, metallic bands, or fire symbols, prompting debate among archaeologists about whether these were war helmets, ritual headdresses, or devices related to astronomy. Some experts suggest the Olmec were natural engineers, capable of spatial orientation and mass calculation with astonishing accuracy. This ability allowed them to construct monumental works without modern instruments. Their stone carving technique is described as exceeding the limits of the era. Under microscopic examination, many surfaces reveal uniform cutting patterns as if executed with industrial saws. The question of what tools they used remains unanswered. The spread of Olmec culture is evident across southern Mexico. From sculptural style to religious practice, their influence is deeply imprinted in the architecture and symbols of the later Maya civilization. Archaeological evidence shows that the Olmec maintained extensive trade networks. They exchanged jade, rubber, cacao, and salt with distant regions, demonstrating an advanced level of economic and social development far beyond the concept of a primitive tribe. Their writing and calendar systems have not been fully deciphered, but the carved symbols on stones prove that the Olmec had a form of recorded language. This stands as evidence that they were the first civilization in the Americas to develop symbolic communication. Through carbon dating and sediment analysis, many of the heads were found to be over 3,000 years old. The durability of the material and the precision of each carved detail compel researchers to reconsider the technological capabilities of that time. After more than 3 millennia of obscurity, these massive stones are about to be awakened through modern technology. AI 3D scanning technology. The project to scan the Olmec stone heads using artificial intelligence was carried out from late 2024 to mid-2025 by a Mexican archaeological team in collaboration with AI engineers from the United States. The goal was to reconstruct the original appearance of the colossal heads that had been weathered over thousands of years. The technology used included an ultra-high-resolution LiDAR laser scanning system combined with AI-based image analysis software. Each statue was fully scanned to capture 3D data accurate to the millimeter, allowing detailed reconstruction of every contour. At the same time, the team applied multispectral imaging across a spectrum from ultraviolet to infrared. This method allowed them to observe paint layers, carvings, and internal structures invisible to the naked eye. The collected data went through multiple processing stages. First, the AI removed dust, moss, and surface deformations caused by time. Then, self-learning algorithms detected patterns that could correspond to carvings or colors that once existed. Scanning each head took between 8 and 12 hours, depending on the statue's size and condition. Afterwards, terabytes of data were processed for weeks to create a complete 3D model. Every pixel was analyzed individually to detect irregularities. The AI was trained on thousands of data samples from other Olmec artifacts, including jade figures, masks, and architectural remains. This enabled the system to compare and identify stylistic and technical consistencies. This technology had previously been used to restore ancient Greek and Egyptian statues, but this was the first time it was applied fully to Mesoamerican relics. The results opened the possibility of seeing how the Olmec once shaped, painted and decorated their sculptures 3 millennia ago. Scientists discovered that each statue carried its own distinctive color scheme. The helmets often displayed red and gold motifs. The faces bore reddish-brown tones, while the eyes and lips were highlighted in white and black. Every detail carried a clear symbolic intention. One of the heads at La Venta featured a ring of flame-shaped carvings around the forehead, evoking the sacred sun symbol. Others displayed crocodile and serpent motifs, representing the cosmic layers of the ancient Mesoamerican belief system. Chemical analysis of the surfaces confirmed that the pigments were made from natural minerals such as red hematite and yellow limonite. They were mixed with organic binders that allowed them to adhere tightly to the stone, surviving for thousands of years without preservation. Many details showed that the paint layers were not purely decorative, but had ritual significance. Some statues bore red markings on the cheeks and lips, resembling warriors in sacrificial ceremonies. This reinforced the idea that the colossal heads once held sacred roles. LI identified over 50 new symbols never recorded before. Most were located around the ears and nape areas previously thought to be smooth. The consistency of these symbols suggested that they might belong to a hieroglyphic system. The discovered symbols were compared with murals from Teopantihuatlan, showing similar colors and decorative styles. This confirmed that the Olmec once possessed a unified ceremonial symbolic system across a wide region. Researchers suggested that these layers of paint and symbols might have been erased during rituals marking the end of dynasties. Evidence showed that many heads bore traces of light blows, as if the Olmec deliberately extinguished the spirit of the statue once a ceremony concluded. From the analysis results, AI also detected small grooves around the helmet edges, possibly used to attach feathers or jade ornaments. These holes were drilled with precise depth and diameter, indicating the use of tools capable of high rotational control. The reconstructed model revealed that the colossal heads were once displayed in grand ceremonial spaces, possibly accompanied by music and shimmering reflections from metallic paint. That image was far removed from the silent grey figures known to the modern world. Archaeologists concluded that this marked a turning point in understanding the Olmec people. Through AI, the world witnessed for the first time the original brilliance of monuments thought to have been lost to time. All findings indicated that the Olmec possessed aesthetic and technical mastery far beyond what history had ever recorded. The colors of 3,000 years, when all the data was reconstructed, the first images that appeared stunned researchers. They revealed a world of color and symbolism that history had never documented. Analyses revealed 5 primary tones: bright red, golden yellow, blue, white, and black. Red symbolized blood and the sun. Yellow represented power. Blue stood for water and rebirth. White for purity, and black signified the underworld. On the helmets, red and yellow paint alternated with jaguar motifs, the sacred animal in Olmec belief. The eyes were painted white with black pupils, giving the impression of watching the observer. The lips and cheeks were covered in crimson, marking ritual significance. Some heads displayed white stripes, running along the cheeks, resembling warrior masks. Many details once thought to be wear marks were now identified as intentional brushstrokes, proving that Olmec artisans not only sculpted but also painted their symbols with vivid layers of color. On the helmets, AI detected fine engravings hidden beneath the paint: dragons, birds, crocodiles, and suns. These were characteristic symbols of Mesoamerican cosmology, expressing the connection between humans and deities. One head, at La Venta, stood out with a surrounding flame motif, imitating the halo of the sacred sun. Others bore spiral patterns, symbolizing wind and eternal motion, elements associated with the power of the Creator God. AI also identified the jaguar with open-mouth symbol on 12 of the 17 heads. This creature was once seen as the embodiment of divine authority, the emblem of supreme power in royal ceremonies. Its repeated presence confirmed it as a central belief. The paint layers were made from natural minerals: red hematite, yellow limonite, green malachite, and finely ground black charcoal. The mixture was blended with tree resin, forming a durable coating capable of resisting humidity and rain for millennia. Under infrared light, certain areas showed faint reflections, indicating microscopic metallic components in the paint. This revealed that the Olmec knew how to create reflective effects to make their statues gleam under sunlight. The structure of the paint revealed at least 3 separate applications. Each layer had distinct color and thickness, indicating that the statues were repainted during different ceremonial or dynastic periods. This reflected extended use over many generations. Mesh-like patterns were found around the neck and back, resembling miniature star maps. The intersections matched the positions of major constellations in the ancient Mesoamerican coordinate system, suggesting that the Olmec observed the sky to guide their rituals. When compared with murals at Teopantecuanitlan, the colors and symbols aligned remarkably. This proved that the Olmec did not operate in isolation, but shared a unified religious symbolic system that spread across vast regions. In total, more than 50 new symbols were identified by AI, many of which had previously been mistaken for natural scratches. Their intentional placement showed that they formed a coded system conveying divine messages. Some symbols featured double spirals resembling DNA or whirlwinds, prompting scholars to question the Olmec's level of understanding in physics and biology. These details further deepened the mystery surrounding ancient knowledge. Beyond color, AI also found traces of materials once attached to the heads. Tiny holes around the helmet rims suggested that precious feathers or gemstones had been inserted. This technique required precise balance calculations to avoid damaging the stone structure. Many heads had foreheads engraved with fire or sun symbols, while the cheeks featured water waves. The fusion of these opposing elements, fire and water, reflected an early yin-yang philosophy in the Olmec concept of cosmic balance. Researchers believed these symbols held not only ceremonial but also scientific value, possibly representing early forms of astronomical or agricultural notation. Each statue functioned as a data repository containing information about natural cycles. But what AI uncovered next went far beyond art or belief. The stone surfaces began to reveal traces of a technology that did not belong to that era. The blueprint of the divine. So why do Olmec heads share the same facial blueprint, like Egyptian pharaohs meant to appear timeless and divine? And how did a civilization older than the Maya rival the engineering logic of Egypt? The AI analysis revealed something historians had never connected before. The Olmec heads weren't just portraits, they were mathematical statements of power. The facial proportions followed the golden ratio of 1.618, the same divine measurement used in Egyptian pharaoh statues at Luxor and the mask of Tutankhamun. The distance from chin to nose, nose to eyebrows, and eyebrows to helmet edge matched perfectly across all 17 heads. This wasn't artistic variation, it was systematic replication. Like the Egyptians who portrayed their pharaohs with idealized eternal features to symbolize divine authority, the Olmec created a standardized face of kingship. Each ruler's individuality was subordinated to a higher geometric order. The helmets, positioned at identical angles, the eyes set at precise intervals, the lips carved with mathematical consistency, all designed to communicate one message. These were not ordinary men, but manifestations of cosmic order. But here's what separates the Olmec from even the Egyptians. They achieved this without a written mathematical system, without metal tools, and without the massive labor infrastructure that built the pyramids. The Egyptians had hieroglyphic engineering manuals, bronze chisels, and armies of workers. The Olmec had none of that, yet their geometric precision rivaled the greatest minds of the ancient world. AI comparisons showed that the symmetry in Olmec faces exceeded 98% accuracy, comparable to computer-aided design. The helmet angles matched architectural constants found in structures from Giza to the Parthenon. The 26-degree inclination appeared repeatedly, the same angle used in the slope of the Great Pyramid. These weren't coincidences. They were evidence of a universal understanding of proportion, balance, and cosmic harmony that transcended geography. The Olmec didn't copy Egypt. They discovered the same mathematical truths independently 3,000 years ago in the jungles of Mesoamerica, without the tools historians said were necessary. Their heads became vessels of divine mathematics, physical proof that kingship was aligned with the geometry of the universe itself. Every curve, every angle, every measurement reinforced the ruler's connection to the eternal. This is why the faces look timeless. They were designed to be. And how they achieved it, without wheels, without metal, without written equations, remains the most haunting question AI has helped us ask, but cannot yet answer. Technology not of this era. When AI entered the surface analysis phase, the data obtained went far beyond all expectations. The cuts on the stone displayed a precision of only 0.1 millimeter, an accuracy difficult to achieve even with modern metal tools without advanced mechanical control technology. The curves on the faces and helmets showed perfect symmetry, proving that the Olmec did not carve intuitively, but used a precise geometric measurement system. Some of the inclined angles matched the golden ratio of 1.618, commonly seen in ancient Egyptian and Greek architecture. AI determined that the small drill holes on the surface had uniform diameters and identical drilling angles, indicating that they were made with high-speed rotary tools. Friction analysis showed a cutting rate equivalent to modern mechanical devices, not primitive stone tools. When examining the helmets, the recognition system detected fine, perfectly straight grooves, as if cut by a laser. These marks showed no signs of natural cracking, indicating a carefully controlled process executed with consistent force. Under microscopic examination, the surface composition revealed traces of synthetic abrasives. The mixture contained finely ground quartz particles blended with plant resin, a formula similar to modern cement materials. This demonstrated that the Olmec had knowledge of combining chemicals to strengthen stone. AI simulations of the crafting process showed that to achieve such smoothness, tools with continuously rotating grinding heads and stable pressure would have been required. This technique exceeded the capability of a civilization without metals, wheels, or mechanical transmission. In addition, scanning models showed that the stones were transported from the Tuxtla Mountains across more than 150 kilometers of swamps and rivers. AI physics simulations concluded that this was only possible if the Olmec used a system of pulleys and complex wooden rails. The pulley structures reconstructed through ancient mathematical modeling proved that the Olmec understood the principles of traction and weight distribution. This concept had never been recorded in the Americas before the first millennium BCE. Inside some of the heads, AI discovered evenly deep drill marks forming parallel lines within the structure. These holes were not decorative, but might have served as reinforcement frames or fixing points during transport. This suggested an industrial-level production process. Certain surface areas showed signs of exposure to high heat. Reflective spectroscopy recorded crystalline structural changes in basalt, similar to the effect caused by temperatures above 900 degrees Celsius. No evidence of furnaces from that era has ever been found. One of the most controversial findings was the presence of microscopic grid engravings resembling coordinate maps. Upon analysis, AI determined that they corresponded to the positions of major stars in the Orion constellation and the solar system, possibly used to predict eclipses. Researchers concluded that if accurate, the Olmec possessed precise astronomical knowledge thousands of years before the Greeks. This opened the possibility that they had an advanced system for measuring time and solar cycles never before known. AI compared the engraving structures with global architectural data and found proportional similarities between the Olmec heads and the Giza pyramids. Both followed the same golden ratio and a 26-degree angle. This coincidence continued to raise questions about the origins of ancient knowledge. Material scientists analyzing the stone layers found traces of a unique bonding compound within. This structure did not occur naturally, suggesting that the Olmec used permeating solutions to harden surfaces, a technique never before documented in American archaeology. The evidence forced many scholars to reconsider the definition of primitive. The technology and craftsmanship of the Olmec were not only sophisticated, but also demonstrated a highly organized and specialized society. Some researchers called this phenomenon the American Atlantis effect, implying the possible existence of a lost body of knowledge. While no official conclusion has been reached, AI data is compelling archaeologists to rewrite the established understanding of civilization's development in this region. The final project report recorded that the precision of carvings, the uniformity of structure, and the perfection of geometric calculations could not have been achieved using crude stone tools. The results went far beyond the accepted model of pre-metal civilizations. Preliminary conclusions suggested that the Olmec might have possessed knowledge of physics, mathematics, and experimental chemistry. Although further verification is needed, this evidence is sparking a new wave of research into connections between ancient civilizations on both sides of the ocean. Our exploration has transformed the silent stones into living witnesses of a timeless intelligence.